Hi friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we have to discuss about advantages and disadvantages of arrays in C programming course and data structures course. First of all, what is array? An array is a collection of homogeneous data type elements. That means an array is a collection of similar data type elements. For example, we have to take 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 are the integers. To represent these integers, we require an integer array. In the same way, we have to represent set of characters from A to Z. To represent that characters, we require a character array. Suppose some floating point numbers are there: 3.14, 2.75, 4.25, 5.75, 5.02. To represent that floating point numbers, we have to require a floating point array. So whatever the numbers, whatever the characters, whatever the floating point numbers, to represent that numbers, we have to use integer array. To represent that characters, we have to require character array. To represent floating point numbers, we require a floating point array. Whatever the data that we want to store that have the similar data type, for that purpose, we require the corresponding array. For integers, we require integer array. For floating point numbers, we require floating point array. For characters, we require character array. It is not possible to store multiple data types under a single variable. For that purpose, we have to use structure concept. To represent similar data type elements, we require array data structure. Okay. Next one. What is the syntax we have to use for declaring the array? The syntax for declaring array is data type, array name, size of the array. Data type is nothing but it represents the what type of data we have to store. Array name is nothing but it is a simple variable name. Size of the array is nothing but how many number of integers that we want to store in the array. That is nothing but size of the array. For example, int a of 5. Where data type is int, array name is a, size of the array is 5. So we want to store 5 integers in that array. For example, I am storing the integers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So for that purpose, we have to declare this int a of 5. So array index starts with 0 and ends with n minus 1, where n is the size of the array. Here the size of the array is 5, therefore n is equal to 5. Array index starts with 0 to 5 minus 1, that is 4. So array index starts with 0 and ends with 4. So the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The array elements are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Next, the addresses. First element address is 1000. Next element address is 1002. Next element address is 1004. Next element address is 1006. next element address is 1008. The first element address is called as base address. To get the next element address, base address plus 2, because every integer occupies 2 bytes. Base address is 1000 plus 2. 1002 is the address of the next element, that is 20. What is the address of the next element 30? Previous element address is 1002 plus 2, that is 1004. What is the next element in the array? 40. What is the address of that element? Previous element address is 1004 plus 2, that is 1006. What is the next element in the array? 50. What is the address? Previous element address is 1006 plus 2, that is 1008. Okay. Next one, how to access the elements from the array. So a of 0 is nothing but 10, a of 1 is nothing but 20, a of 2 is nothing but 30, a of 3 is nothing but 40, a of 4 is nothing but 50. The array elements can be accessed by using index. So here 0 is index, 1 is index, 2 is index, 3 is index, 4 is index. Okay, from the array to access that element, we have to use the index. By using that index, we have to access any element in the array very fastly. Next, one more point is, we have to find the address of any element in that array. So the formula is base address plus index value into size of data type. Okay, so by using this formula, we have to find out the address of any element. For example, we have to find out the address of this element. Okay, what is the base address? Base address is nothing but address of the first element, that is 1000, plus what is the index of element 30, that is 2. What is the size of data type? Size of data type is int. Integer occupies 2 bytes. So 2. 1000 plus 2 into 2. So that is nothing but 1004. So address of element 30 is 1004. In this way, we have to find out the address of every element in the array. Next, what are the advantages of arrays? First point, arrays are simple to understand and easy to implement. So whatever the concept here I am explaining, so that is very simple to understand. And also we have to implement this concept very easily. So arrays are very easy to understand and easy to implement. Second point, arrays allows you to quickly access elements using their index. We have to access any element from the array very fastly by using index. Okay, suppose we want to access this element. How would you access that element? By using index. So that is a of 3. A of 3 is equal to 40. How to access this element? What is the index of that element? 1. A of 1, that is equal to 20. How to access this element? What is the index of that element? 4. A of 4 is equal to 50. We have to access any element in the array very fastly by using index value. Next, third point, Arrays are used to implement data structures like stacks, queues, and so on. So arrays are mainly used for implementing linear data structures such as stacks and queues. Stack is a linear data structure. It works on a principle called LIFO. LIFO. That is nothing but last in, first out. Whatever the element that is inserted last, that element can be deleted first. That is called as last in, first out. Next one, Q is a data structure that works on a principle called FIFO. FIFO means first in, first out. Whatever the element that is inserted into the queue first, that element can be deleted first. So stack works on a principle called as LIFO and queue works on a principle called as FIFO. Next, fourth point, arrays store data sequentially. The array elements are stored sequential manner or a contiguous manner. For example, a first element in the array stored at address 1000. What is the next element address? 1002. What is the next element address? 1004. What is the next element address? 1006. What is the next element address? That is 1008. So in this way, array elements are stored in the memory in a sequential manner or a contiguous manner. Next point, arrays have a fixed size which can be useful when the data size is fixed and unchanged. So, in the case of arrays, so array size is fixed. So, array size can be mentioned while declaring the array. So, that array size is unchanged at runtime. We cannot change the size of the array at runtime. We can fix that array size while declaring the array. Next point, arrays can store only similar data type elements. This is the most important. So, in the integer array, we have to store only integers. In the character array, we have to store only characters. In the floating point array, we have to store only floating point numbers. So, arrays are mainly used for storing the similar data type elements. Arrays are used for storing homogeneous data type elements. It is not possible to store multiple data types. Okay. Arrays are only used for storing similar data type elements only. Next, we can go for the disadvantages. Coming for the disadvantages of arrays. First point, arrays uses static memory allocation. That means for the entire array, the memory will be allocated at compile time. It is not possible to change the array size at runtime. So, how many number of elements that we want to store, according to that we have to mention the array size while declaring the array. Once the array size is fixed, it is not possible to change the array size at runtime. Second point, array size should be mentioned in advance. In the case of arrays, array size is fixed. That can be mentioned while declaring the array, so that array size should be known in advance according to our requirement. How many number of elements that we want to store in the array, according to that we have to mention the size of the array first. Once the array size is fixed, it is not possible to change the size of the array at runtime. So the main important disadvantage of the array is array size should be known in advance. Next, third point, memory space will be wasted. That is, if we allocate more memory than the required memory. For example, I am declaring the array int a of 100. Int a of 100. How much amount of memory will be allocated while compiling this statement? So each integer occupies 2 bytes. Size of the array is 100. So 100 into 2. So that is 200 bytes of memory will be allocated at compile time. But I am requiring only to store 50 elements. So for 50 elements, the required memory is 50 into 2, that is 100 bytes of memory. So what is the allocated memory here? 200 bytes of memory allocated. How much memory you required for storing 50 elements? 100 bytes. So how much memory will be wasted? 200 minus 100, that is 100 bytes of memory will be wasted. You already know how many number of elements that we want to store. 50. At that time, we declare array size is int a of 50. But you declare int a of 100, so 200 bytes of memory will be allocated while at compile time, but you require only for storing 50 elements 100 bytes of memory. The remaining memory will be wasted. So the main disadvantage of array is most of the memory will be wasted. Okay, whatever the memory you required, so only according to that you have to mention the array size. If we declare the array size more than that, so most of the memory will be wasted. Next, fourth point, if we allocate less memory than the required memory, it will create a problem. Okay, for example, int a of 10. Int a of 10. That means we have to store 10 elements in that integer array. How much memory will be allocated? 20 bytes. 10 into 2, 20 bytes. Suppose you want to store 12 elements in that array. Is it possible? It is not possible. Okay, but for 20 bytes of memory, suppose the compiler allocates only 16 bytes. So then it will create a problem. Actual memory requirement is 20 bytes, but allocated memory only is 60 bytes. Then it will create a problem. Actually, it is not possible because of memory problem maybe, so it may be occurred. If we allocate less memory, so we are allocating only 16 bytes than the required memory. Required memory is 20 bytes. At that time, it will create a problem. Okay. Next point. The main drawback of array is insertion and deletion operations are expensive and time taking. Okay, for example, I am declaring the array size as 5. So we are storing 5 integers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, suppose we want to insert element 5 at the beginning. What are the steps you have to follow? Array size is 5, but we want to store another element that is 5 in the beginning of the array. The first step is array size should be increased by 1. Array size should be increased by 1. So previously array size is 5. Now array size should be increased by 1 for inserting the element 5 at the beginning. So plus 1. 5 plus 1, that is 6. Array size is 6. Once the array size is 6, we have to store 6 elements in the array. Six elements in the array. So at the beginning of the array, we are storing element 5. Element 5. Okay. Next, here 10 is there. 10 is shifted one position towards right. And 20 is shifted towards right by one position. 30 is shifted towards right by one position. 40 is shifted towards one position to the right, and 50 is one position to the right shifted. So now 5 is inserted at the beginning. So what is the array size now? The array size is 6. Okay. So for inserting one element at the beginning of the array, so the remaining elements shifted towards the right by one position. Okay. So 5 elements are there. 5 elements can be shifted towards the right by one position. 10 can be shifted right by one position. 20 can be shifted right by one position. 30 can be shifted towards right by one position. 40 can be shifted towards right by one position. 50 can be shifted towards right by one position. Now this place is vacant. In this place we have to insert element 5. Okay. Suppose if the array size is 500. We want to insert one element at the beginning of the array. So 500 elements can be shifted towards the right by one position. Then the vacant place is created at the beginning of the array. Then we have to insert that element. Okay. So this insert operation is expensive and time taken for shifting elements by one position towards right. Next, suppose we are taking the same array. The array size is 5. It contains the elements 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Suppose we want to delete element 10 from that array. Okay. So what is the array size? Only 5 elements are there. So array size is 5. Suppose we want to delete element 10 from that array. After deleting element 10, array size can be decremented by 1, so that 5 minus 1, that is 4. Array size should be 4 after deleting 10. So now I am taking only 4 elements. 4 elements. Okay. So after deleting 10, 20 can be shifted to this place, 30 can be shifted to this place, 40 can be shifted to this place, and 50 can be shifted to this place. The last cell is vacant, so that can be eliminated. So after deleting 10, so we are getting 20, 30, 40 and 50. So in this way. Okay. In this case also, for inserting element 10, 10 can be shifted towards here, 20 can be shifted towards here, 30 can be shifted towards here, 40 can be shifted towards here, 50 can be shifted towards here. Okay. So For deleting element 10, we are shifting each and every element in the array by one position towards left. Okay, suppose we are taking the array size is 500. We want to delete the first element in the array. The remaining 499 elements shifted towards left by one position. So it is more expensive and it is more time taken. Okay, so these are the main disadvantages of arrays. The main disadvantages of arrays are array size should be mentioned in advance. That is the first point. Array uses static memory allocation. Memory will be allocated at compile time. It is not possible to change the size of the array at runtime. Next one, insertion and deletion operations are more complex and more time taken and more expensive. So these are the main disadvantages of arrays. I hope all of you understanding this video. If you have any doubts, please put your doubts in the comment section. I will try to clarify your doubts. If you really understanding this video, please subscribe my YouTube channel. So Divvela Srinivasa. After subscribing my YouTube channel, click on the bell icon to get the future updates in my YouTube channel. So thank you one and all for watching this video.